AWS has a lot of services which we can utilize to for the centralized governance with AWS organization. As we discussed with the organization that within an organization you can have multiple AWS accounts. So once you have multiple AWS accounts, to have the centralized governance is very important. So AWS has a lot of services which can help you in that. For example, uh, if you want to centrally provision resources in a multi-account environment, you can have an AWS service catalog where you can create some sort of a catalog that if someone wants to deploy an application or create new resources, they can deploy through this service catalog. Plus you can have some CloudFormation templates created. For example, you have an application for let's say for a financial, for a banking application, which you need to deploy. So you deploy it, you create a CloudFormation template, and you deploy the testing environment, you deploy a staging environment, and they are having different accounts. You can use the same CloudFormation template, have some few modifications in the parameters, in the variables, and deploy that CloudFormation template in the production account as well. It is giving you a lot of centralized governance. If you manually create the infrastructure, maybe you can have different services in AWS, your in your staging account, in your development account, in your production account, to make it centralized, to make it streamlined, to make it standardized across environments. You can use AWS CloudFormation to deploy the infrastructure. So you can have multiple CloudFormation templates created for you, for your organization, as per your application, as per your business needs. So if someone needs to create the infrastructure, they can use those templates and create the infrastructure within minutes. Plus, if you want to share your resources, as there are multiple AWS accounts for the same organizations, you may need to share resources across multiple accounts. For example, you have a transit gateway for your centralized networking, which you want to share it with your different AWS accounts. You can share that. You can share it with AWS Resource Access Manager. You can have a personalized health dashboard across environments, centralized. Plus, you can have AWS backup and backup policies, tag policies implemented through this AWS services for all of your AWS accounts. Plus, if you want to optimize the cost and identify the cost saving measures, so the best part of the organization is that for all the multiple AWS accounts, you have a centralized billing through this AWS root account. And using AWS Cost Explorer, you can identify which accounts are having, how what AWS cost, which accounts are having which services, which account is having, uh, the room to save some cost. For example, you can have some recommendations through this AWS Trusted Advisor across your AWS accounts. Plus, you can have a license manager. For example, if you have running Windows workloads on AWS or other workloads which requires licensing, and you want to manage those licensing in an efficient way, you can centralize that to an by using a service AWS License Manager. Also, if you want to integrate seamlessly the security services, there are many AWS security services which can help you identify, for example, guard duty, to make sure that it is detecting any anomaly within your AWS account. You can have a firewall manager, you can have AWS Messy, you can have a security hub as well to understand the security posture of your AWS account and of all of your AWS accounts, and making sure that you are taking the right decisions by looking up the dashboards and the standards. What you need to do, you can perform some necessary actions. So using AWS organization and using AWS services, it is pretty easy for us to manage the governance in a centralized and in an efficient way.